everyone. Welcome back to our series on Reality Transurfing. In the last session, we explored what Zeland calls the information field.
Today, we go deeper into how that field connects to human knowledge and discovery.
This topic is called Knowledge Out of Nowhere. By the end of this video, you will understand why breakthroughs often seem to arrive unexpectedly. You will also see how the gap between the heart and mind shapes what we are able to know. Only a very small number of individuals can directly read data held in the information field.
Most of us receive only faint echoes, momentary premonitions, and vaguely perceived knowledge.
Scientists and artists often receive their insights after years of deep contemplation. The reason it takes so long is that thought energy naturally attunes to what already exists. It is far easier to tune into sectors of the field that have already become physical reality.
Truly new knowledge lives in sectors that have never yet been materialized.
We do not yet fully understand how to deliberately attune our thoughts to those unrealized sectors.
When the subconscious does access an unrealized sector, the conscious mind is often confused. The information feels obscure because the mind has no existing symbols to match it with. It is like receiving a signal in a language you have never heard before.
If the mind manages to reach deeply into the new information, insight and clarity can follow.
That moment of clarity is what we typically call a breakthrough or a discovery.
The mind works by assigning designation to everything it encounters. The sky is blue, water is wet, winter is cold. These are all designations. Every concept, symbol, word, and rule is a designation the mind uses to organize reality.
When information arrives from an unrealized sector, it carries no familiar designation yet. The mind perceives it as unfathomable, real, but impossible to name or explain.
A discovery is made the moment a new designation can be applied to that nameless knowledge.
Zeland offers a beautiful example to illustrate this idea.
Imagine hearing music for the very first time in your life.
Your mind knows something is happening. It can hear the sound.
But it has no reference point, no concept of notes, instruments, or melody.
The information is received, but it cannot yet be understood or named. Understanding comes only after repeated exposure and the gradual building of new designations. When music is heard for the first time, it is perceived as both knowledge and mystery.
This is exactly how new information from the field first arrives in the mind.
There is another example that makes this even clearer.
Try explaining to a small child that milk is white. The child knows what milk is, but has no grasp of the abstract category of color.
So the child asks, what is white? What is color? What is equality?
The questions go on endlessly because each new word requires another designation to understand it.
It is far easier to simply show the child objects of different colors. Through experience, the child's mind learns to apply the abstract concept naturally. The heart, unlike the mind, does not need any of this.
It does not work in categories or designations at all. The heart simply feels and knows without any need for words or symbols. Ever since human beings began thinking in abstract categories, something began to change.
The connection between the heart and the mind gradually weakened over time.
The mind grew more powerful as a tool for categorizing and controlling the world.
But in doing so, it also grew less able to hear the quiet signals of the heart. The heart cannot speak in words or symbols. It has no designations to offer.
When it discovers something in the unrealized field, it has no way to transmit it clearly.
The mind, meanwhile, is preoccupied with its own internal chatter. It picks up faint signals from the heart, but cannot always assign them a category.
And so those signals are dismissed or drowned out before they can become conscious. When the mind finally releases its grip, something subtle can break through. Zeland calls this signal the rustle of the morning stars. It is the voice without words, reflection without thought, sound without volume. When you hear it, you know you have understood something, even if you cannot say what.
Everyone has experienced a version of this at some point in their life. You have had the feeling that someone was about to arrive, just before they knocked at the door. You have had the feeling that something was going to happen, and then it did.
You have simply known something, with no logical explanation for how you knew it. That is the heart communicating with the mind through the only channel available to it.
The greatest obstacle to hearing the inner voice is the mind's constant activity.
Zeland calls this relentless mental noise the thought-churn. The mind generates thoughts continuously, and the heart's signal cannot compete with that volume.
If you stop the flow of thoughts and contemplate stillness, the inner voice can surface.
The heart holds answers to many of our questions. But the difficulty is not that the answers are hidden. It is that we rarely stop long enough to listen. The heart has direct access to unrealized but impending sectors of the alternative space.
When the soul is oriented toward a sector not yet made physical, it already knows what to expect.
It knows whether the experience ahead will be pleasant or unpleasant.
The mind interprets these foreknowings as vague sensations of inner peace or unease.
The soul tries patiently to communicate this to the mind, but the mind rarely listens.
It is hooked by external pressures, preoccupied with problems, and confident in its own reasoning.
The mind makes firm decisions based on logic and common sense. But sensible reasoning is no guarantee of an ideal outcome. The heart is rarely mistaken because it does not reason. It simply feels and knows.
How often have people said afterwards, "I knew nothing good would come of this"?
The task is to learn to listen to the heart at the moment a decision is being made. This is simpler than it sounds. You just need to remember to pay attention.
Zeland suggests appointing what he calls an inner guardian.
This is simply a part of your awareness that watches your inner state before a final decision.
The mind is usually absorbed with problems or captured by outside pressures.
To hear the rustle of the morning stars, it is enough to pause and notice how you feel.
It sounds almost too simple, but it works.
The only real challenge is remembering to do it and trusting what you feel. When you are about to make a decision, hold it in your mind and ask, how do I feel? Is there something about this that puts me on edge even slightly? Is there something I do not like, even if I cannot explain why? After settling on a choice, go quiet for a moment and ask, does this feel good or bad? Then imagine making the opposite choice and ask the same question again. If no clear feeling arises, your mind may still need practice in listening. Instruct your inner guardian to check in more often. Or it may be that the question itself is not yet clear enough to produce a feeling.
In that case, rely on reason, or simplify the question until it can produce a yes or a no.
Let us briefly recap what we have explored today. Most people access the information field only in faint, indirect ways. New knowledge originates in unrealized sectors that the mind has no designations for yet. A discovery happens when the mind succeeds in naming and framing what the heart already knows. The heart-mind connection has weakened as abstract thinking has come to dominate. The inner voice is real, but it is quiet. I'm easily drowned out by the thought-churn. The heart can already sense what lies ahead in unrealized sectors of the field. Listening to it requires no special gift. It only requires attention and practice. For this week, try the two-question method at least once before making any significant decision. Notice whether your gut feeling matches the choice your mind was already leaning toward. Write down what you felt and what you decided. We will explore what your observations reveal in the next session.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.